Fighting out of Fort Worth, Texas, the Lone Star Kid, Landry Ward.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 2 of Kicking It with the Kid. Right now it is midnight here in South Florida. I just got done training a while ago, but had a long drive back to West Palm from Miami. Got some things settled, and now we're sitting down getting the podcast recorded. I wanted to get this recorded and edited tonight so I can release it tomorrow before the football games start and before, we got an early UFC card tomorrow. So West Palm, where I live, about an hour and a half from Miami, which is where I train at 1 or 2 times a week, and also drive down there to do my recovery as well. So a lot of driving, a lot of time in the car, and especially today, my training session was at 7 p.m. And I got some things done here in West Palm before heading down there. Left my house at 3:45, did not get to the gym until 6:50, 3 hours in the car. Way too long, but, kind of got me thinking, I guess, a little way to start this podcast. Sometimes there are sacrifices you have to make while you're chasing something. Honestly, it doesn't even really feel like a sacrifice now just because I do it so much and it's just part of what I do now. But when you're on the road or on the journey trying to chase something big and chase a goal, you're going to come across stuff that you have to sacrifice, these decisions you have to make that are not fun in the moment, but they're towards a greater good, and it's just something you got to accept and roll with and make it a part of life at that point. I feel like a lot of people, they make a big goal, have a big dream, and they set out on this path. Then they hit something, hit a roadblock, maybe it's a failure, a little hiccup during what they're doing. No, dang, well, this isn't what I signed up for, this isn't what I want. They kind of take the easier route going towards, taking a least resistance path to, make money doing whatever they want to do. So, I guess that's a little motivational start to the podcast today. You're going to hit hiccups and you're going to go through some stuff that you don't want to do while you're chasing greatness and chasing a dream. And, whether you make it to that goal or make it to that dream or not, as long as you stick to this path and keep chasing, putting everything into it, knowing you're doing the right things, whatever happens at the end of it, you're going to sit down and be happy with yourself that, you made those hard decisions. You learned a lot on that path and on that journey of trying to chase something. So, if you're anybody out there going through something, has a big goal, has a big dream, and you're going through a tough spot right now, just know it's normal. That's a part of trying to be great, part of trying to chase greatness, and, just accept it, roll with it. This is what we got to do to get to where we want to go, and take it head on. Had a 3-hour drive down to Miami and then hour and a half drive back. I got a client at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then I got to drive back to Miami after that to go do my recovery. So I had to get this done tonight. When I think about fighting and then this side of it, the promotional, putting yourself out there, man, I've put everything into fighting, so much into it. And then you realize while you're going on this journey that, promotion, self-promotion, content, getting yourself out there is an integral part of this game and this journey. And I've been talking about starting a podcast for a while now, and I've been putting it off, and, now I'm at a point where I'm like, why don't I just do it? I've said I'm going to do it so many times, and now I hit this where it's midnight. I'm tired from hard training earlier, but I want to get this out. I want to make this content, connect with, fans and friends who are watching. So here we are. And, I guess what we need to get into today, last week talked about Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. I'm a Longhorn fan. My man Arch is getting cooked on the internet right now. Tough showing week 1. Didn't look great. He showed some spots here and there where he was making great passes. And then, 2 plays later, he'd throw a ball completely offline behind a wide open receiver. And, it's tough. It is week 1, and they were playing a true top 3 team in the country. Ohio State just got Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator this year. And, that's a NFL Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator right there. You can imagine that he's going to come down to the college level and have a great understanding of the game, have a great understanding because, there is film on Arch from last year, kind of have an understanding of his play style and his playmaking abilities and try to draft up a defense and defensive calls and, formations to, you know, negate those abilities that he has. Yeah, I think it was a mix of that. I mean, playing a tough defense as it is. Texas defense looked great too. But yeah, I mean, he is getting. I don't know. I don't know if it's unnecessary, just because the media built him up so much. I don't think he as much did it on himself, so I wouldn't say it's necessary. From his point of view, how he built himself up. But the media definitely got behind him and hyped him up like crazy. So the internet's going to do its thing and come at him for having a lackluster week one. But there's a lot of ball left to play. I think it's tough to start week one against a true, like I said, top 3 team in the country like that with an elite defense, elite defensive coordinator, and head coach as well. So, I think their next 3 weeks, they have some soft teams, how usual big schools have starting out their season. So I just think he needs to use these next 3 weeks to build some confidence. He needs to go out there and make some plays. He didn't really get his legs involved last week. And Sarkisian also, his play calling style was usually unorthodox, a lot of motion, a lot of, fakes here and there. And I felt like it was, I guess, kind of dumbed down maybe from last year. But, it's also week one. The whole team's got to get on board. Was he not being as creative because Arch was back there or because the rest of the team just wasn't on the same page? So it'll be interesting to see as we go through these next few weeks against these softer matchups, how the team starts to gel, how the offense starts to gel. Hopefully Arch's arm gets a little more on point. I know people were showing that Napoleon Dynamite, the Rico throwing the ball. Hopefully that tightens up a little bit. The balls get put on the spot. He's throwing dimes, and the team bounces back before, I want to say they take on Florida for their first SEC game. Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully they got 3 weeks to, go play lesser competition and then get on the right track. So hopefully they can go do that coming out of a tough week one. Playing Ohio State and only losing by 7 with the lackluster playing that the offense showed. That shows our defense is definitely elite. The defense is definitely top 3 in the country. You know what they say, defense wins championships. So I still got high hopes for my Horns. Hook them. Let's go. Let's bounce back. Let's get the ball rolling. But yeah, we also got an early UFC card tomorrow as well. Let's go. And like I said last week, no better time of the year when you got fights and football on the same day. And I think we've had football since Thursday. We had Cowboys, Eagles on Thursday. I gotta say, Dak Prescott, he wasn't looking bad either. Everyone was counting the boys out, saying they were going to be horrible. They showed up. Was a 3-point game last week. We'll say Dak Prescott was throwing some dimes. Some people were saying he was throwing hospital balls, putting some balls over the middle that receivers were running into some danger. But that's the thing with, football in general. I was going to say the NFL, but football in general, receivers are so protected nowadays. I feel like quarterbacks have kind of gotten to a point where if I throw it over the middle, they're most likely not going to go for his head. I know Sean Tate was looking down and Ed Reed is somewhere watching these plays like, man, this was back in my day. These boys would be in the hospital right now, but it's a different game now. The offense is protected. The receivers are definitely protected. So those balls over the middle, not quite as dangerous as they used to be. There's no Vontaze Perfect out there looking to take your head off like it's Antonio Brown coming across the middle. So, yeah, we'll see where the boys go from here as well. Defense definitely needs to tighten up. Obviously, I think it's a rookie who replaced Micah Parsons. So, we'll see how they bounce back. But that was a good game against a tough Eagles team and see how they bounce back as well. I'm not like a huge NFL team fan when it comes to teams. In football, Longhorns are who I go for. NFL, I don't really have a team that I'm like, let's go, boys. But since I'm from there, I will go for the boys. And, play a lot of fantasy. So I'm more of a fan of players when it comes to the NFL. But yeah, they look good. Let's see where the boys go from here. I think what the Chiefs and the Chargers just finished up. That was a good game too, playing out there in Brazil. Brazil got a good game out there to them. Yeah, Chiefs starting off the season with an L. They started off last season not too great. I don't think either. So we'll see how they bounce back, where they go from there. Justin Herbert was looking good. We'll see. He 300-yard game. That's a good quarterback right there. I got Matt McConkey on one of my fantasy teams, so he didn't get in the end zone, but he had some good yards. So hopefully he keeps up and finds the end zone. Herbert can keep finding him. But yeah, into the UFC card. Well, I think we got a noon start time tomorrow. UFC France. Got to love an early card, man. This Eastern time zone for sports, especially when fights are here in America. Oh, horrible. You got main card starting at like 10, not ending till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. My man, I just want to go to sleep, but I got to watch the fights. So it's good to have an early start time. Eastern time zone, absolute worst for sports here. Listen, yeah, going through the card, I really don't think I obviously know some of them, but when it comes to having watched a lot of the fights, I think the only two fights that I've watched multiple fights from each fighter. It's going to be the co-main and main event. Co-main event, that's a banger right there. We got Mauricio Rufy versus Benoit Saint Denis. Now, I really like this fight. Going into France, got Benoit in there. Definitely not giving him an easy fight. Like, I don't know if they gave him an easy fight last time. I think somebody pulled out and he fought a guy on short notice who they just called up. But yeah, he got back on track with a win there. And then Rufy, he's on a tear right now, putting people's lights out. Had that nice spinning wheel KO on Bobby Green, or King Green, I guess is his name now. Yeah, it's a good fight. Benoit, he comes out there just throwing haymakers, going 100% from the bell. I don't think he'll be able to do that here against Ruffy. Yeah, his last two fights that he's fought super high level competition against Poirier and Moicano, they didn't turn out too well for him. And he took a lot of damage in those fights. He took definitely like career changing damage in those fights. And he's got a tough matchup here against Rufy, Then Benoit's going to look to get this fight to the ground. And Rufy, I don't know if I've seen much of his takedown defense or his grappling. Obviously he keeps it on the feet. He's an exciting striker. Definitely creative. Got great counter striking. He's got that nice taekwondo kind of stance when he's coming in. Great timing. A lot of power in his hands. Yeah, man. And he's training at the Fighting Nurse, so, I'm sure he's got good grappling. Those guys over there, all of them are very well-rounded fighters. Man, and is he an underdog? Is that what I'm seeing right here? No, he's a favorite. Yeah, rightfully so. I think minus 160 on Rufy, plus 135 coming back on BSD. Yeah, man, I think these odds are right for sure. I like the stylistic matchup. Yeah, man, is Rufy going to be able to stop these takedowns? I think he will. I think I see another knockout finish for Rufy here. Be interesting to see if he does pull that off. Be interesting to see what's next for him after that. That's a banger of a fight. If BSD comes out and he's able to get it to the ground, this will be very interesting. But if it stays on the feet, I think it's going to be a tough time for BSD. Yeah, I'm going Rufy in that one. I guess we're doing fight picks now. Then going Rufy in that one. Yeah, if the takedown defense holds up, if he's able to get up off his back, if he does get taken down, I don't see BSD getting out of there. I think this definitely ends before the final bell here. I'm going Rufy inside the distance on this one. Then we get to the main event. Let's see, we got Cal Barajo versus Nasruddin Imavov. Yeah, I know I'm butchering. That's another Fighting Nerds guy. I know I'm butchering his name. Yeah, man. Dang, I guess I would have to go back and watch some film. Been a busy week. I haven't been able to watch too much film. As we go forward, I'm going to start watching some more film on fighters so I can give a nice breakdown on these fights. Yeah, I think what Cal's last fight was against Cannoneer. I do remember watching Imavov versus Izzy in his last fight. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think Izzy was I think it was a close first round. I want to say he finished him in the second round. But yeah, it was a close first round. Izzy was looking all right in the first round. And then coming out in the second round, he got caught. Imavov put him to sleep. So it's a very interesting matchup, too. I think it's going to be the same as the Roofy and BSD, where, Imavov's probably going to be wanting to close the distance, or Imavov's going to be wanting to keep it on the feet, and Bravo's going to be wanting to close the distance, get him to the ground. I think he is more of a grappler, if I'm not mistaken. But no, I don't even know who to pick in this fight. I would definitely have to do some more tape study on this one. But, just going off watching the last two fights, I'm definitely excited for this fight. I can't give y'all a prediction on this one, but it's an absolute banger. That's two. The co-main event, main event are bangers. Really don't know much about the rest of the card, but, sometimes these cards that there's not, I guess, big names on the undercards, like these Apex cards, when they just have a lot of fighters who don't have name value, those end up being some of the best cards. So, soon I'm going to be on one of those cards. A lot of people are going to be like, I don't know who this kid is. And then I'm going to come out there and put on a show, let them know that LSK, the Lone Star Kid's next up. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure the undercard is going to be packed with some banger fights as well. And I can't wait till I'm on the undercard putting on some banger fights. And, like I said, I'm still training. If anything short notice opens up, I'll be ready. Staying in the gym, keeping the body right. Weight's always good. I live a clean lifestyle, live a healthy lifestyle. This sport is my life. I mean, I give everything to this. Every decision I make throughout my day is towards what is going to make me a better fighter or what's going to, take me a step back. So always doing the right things. I want to be ready when, my number's called, my name's called, and, I'm on the big screen for the world to see. I can't wait for those opportunities. That's what I, wake up thinking about, go to sleep in bed thinking about, dreaming about. So yeah, I'm excited for those times. I'm excited for these fights this weekend, and, hopefully a UFC card coming up here soon has my name on it, and I'm making a name for myself and let the people know who I am. But yeah, we got fights in football again tomorrow. Best time of the year right here. I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm just a big sports fan, I guess, rolling off of that. But we got tennis tomorrow too. I know y'all probably like, tennis? What are we talking about here? I'm telling y'all right now, high level tennis is absolutely fun to watch. If you've never played it, or if you have played it, man, having to run back and forth through these little sprints and making perfect contact with that tennis ball, you're off by like half an inch, a centimeter with the racket. That ball's flying up, down, left, right. So watching that at a high level, I have a lot of respect for the endurance, the agility, and the hand-eye coordination, all the coordination going into that. What I think, yeah, the women's matchup I'm excited for. So we got an American in there. We got Anna Samova against Sabalenka. Yeah, finally got or I guess not finally, but the only American we have in there is on the women's finals. So Anna Samova pulled through for us. Let's go. Funny enough, I do like Sabalenka though. She is funny. I listen to some of her interviews after her matches in the recent years. She's funny. But back in Anna Samova, hopefully she can go get it done here. And then, yeah, I mean, on the men's side, absolute banger of a matchup tennis-wise there, too. We got Sinner versus Alcaraz. These two dudes, even if you don't know tennis and don't watch tennis, if you just go watch a little bit of them playing, you can see that there's just a different level there when it comes to everybody else. Yeah, I think Alcaraz and Sinner, I think they've already played in two Grand Slams this year, the French Open and Wimbledon. Yeah, so, and that was interesting too, because I think the French Open is on a clay court, if I'm not mistaken, and the Wimbledon is a grass court. So now they're playing here in the U.S. Open on a hard court. And, yeah, I mean, I feel like a hard court is just, that's your standard, like, who's best right there. I feel like clay and grass, there's probably little techniques and different footing and ball flight, everything, how the ball's going to hit off. a lot of different factors going into it where, your standard hard court is probably more, everything's even there. That's what you're typically used to playing on. So this is going to be an absolute like fireworks of a matchup. I'm not sure what day that is. I don't know if I have it here. I don't think I have it here on the computer. Yeah, I don't know what day that one is, but I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I think they're 1-1 right now. I guess in Grand Slams this year. Then I don't remember who won which one, but one of them won the French Open, one of them won Wimbledon. I think Alcaraz won the French Open. I think he came back in some crazy. I think he was down like 2 sets, about to lose the third set, lose the game, and then he came back all the way and won it, if I'm not mistaken, at that one. But yeah, I feel like this matchup, man, they're both young too. I don't know how old Sinner is, but I want to say Alcaraz is like 21 or something. So this matchup right here is like, we're going to be seeing this for years and years to come. This is going to be crazy. The amount of Grand Slams each of them win, and the amount of Grand Slams each of them are playing each other in throughout the years to come. So I'm definitely excited for that matchup as well. We got a lot of sports coming up. It's the best time of year right here, football season. We got the MLB about to start the playoffs here in the next couple weeks. Man, it's a great time. If you don't love sports, I feel sorry for you. There's nothing better. Sports is the best. I played sports since I was like 4 years old, and I'm still in love with it. Best time of the year right here. But yeah, I think that's all we got for today. We started with some motivation. I guess we'll end with some motivation. Just do the right things. What do you want in life? Right is one of my favorite things that I do. I do it every day, and I do it before all my fights. I call it the mirror test. At the end of each day, can you look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you did everything that you needed to do, everything possible to get better today and to take a step forward and progress today? So if you're listening to this and you made it this far, I'm going to challenge you to implement this in your life and do it right now, whether it's the middle of the day, early morning, or late at night. Go look yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself if you did everything you needed to do right and everything you need to do to better yourself today. And have that honest conversation with yourself. And I'm going to leave y'all with that. Thank y'all for tuning in. Episode 2, Kicking It with the Kid. Y'all have a good one.